Dear Makita community, a warm welcome to this new video. It's great to have you back with us. Today, I have the new Makita 40-volt compact and powerful battery handheld vacuum cleaner, the CL003GZ, for testing. We'll find out what this compact battery handheld vacuum cleaner really has to offer, how it performs, and whether it's worth investing in or not. So let's start right away after the intro. As usual, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel for free and activate the bell to never miss a new video in the future. You can find the current prices of this device, as usual, in the video description below. Thank you very much for your support, and let's get started after the intro. We all know the Makita CL003G, the compact 18-volt battery handheld vacuum cleaner with cyclone separator and integrated HEPA filter. If you're not familiar with this device, I've tested and introduced it separately before. I'll link it in the top right corner of the info card. A solid device overall, but with room for improvement, of course. That's why I'm very excited to see what we can expect from this new 40-volt battery vacuum cleaner, the CL003GZ. The vacuum cleaner itself comes in the solo version with accessories in a compact cardboard box with the usual illustration and description on the front. However, let's take a look at the contents of the package and see what's included. As you can see, inside the cardboard box, the small accessories are placed on top. These include the appropriate floor nozzle, the suction tube, the actual CL003 vacuum cleaner, and of course, the user manual for the respective device. That's it. There's nothing more in this case. Quite straightforward. As I mentioned, this is the solo version, which means you need to get the batteries and chargers separately or ideally already have them. So now we can take a closer look at the vacuum cleaner itself. I'll assemble it later because it would be too big for the table right now. The first thing that stands out about the new Makita CL003 battery vacuum cleaner is that not only has a lot changed in terms of performance, but also in terms of its structure and design. The vacuum cleaner itself is, of course, in the typical Makita color scheme, with a black accent on the handle area at the back and on the cyclone separator at the front. Then we have the prominent Makita logos. But what stands out with this battery vacuum cleaner is this part here at the front, as I mentioned, the new cyclone separator that's now mounted on the device as standard. We'll examine how it performs and what it really brings to the table in more detail as we progress through the video. The next thing that catches your attention is that the vacuum cleaner is, as expected from Makita, extremely well made. This means we have consistent and even gaps everywhere, clean transitions between the rubber and plastic. In terms of build quality, this device is top-notch. It is, of course, made entirely of plastic, but not just any cheap plastic. It's made of sturdy ABS, making it extremely durable. Furthermore, I believe that the device is not too heavy for a battery handheld vacuum cleaner, partly due to the materials used. Let's check out the actual weight of the device. Starting with the bare solo unit without a battery or accessories, we have a net weight of just 1,200 grams. Then, as I mentioned, we add the small accessories, including the suction tube and the floor nozzle. This brings us to 1,500 grams, and then we have the power supply, a 40-volt battery. I would say a small 2.5 ampere battery is sufficient since we want a very portable device. This results in a gross weight of 2,200 grams. Certainly 2.2 kilograms, including the battery, is not a featherweight for a battery vacuum cleaner, especially considering that we've been spoiled by the weight of the 18-volt CL003G device. However, I have to say that 2.2 kilograms are still acceptable, particularly because the vacuum cleaner is placed on the floor when in use. This is further supported by the handle at the back, which, in my opinion, is of sufficient size, meaning that even large hands can grip it without difficulty. In addition, the ergonomics and the overall design are quite comfortable, and the rubberized surface in black provides a firm grip. The entire handle is rubberized and extremely non-slip, making it very comfortable to hold in my opinion. On the top, you'll find the most important and only controls of the battery vacuum cleaner, which can be easily operated with your thumb. These include two small membrane buttons, one for power on and off, and another mode button for the 4 available power levels. Yes, you heard it right. The vacuum cleaner has a total of 4 power levels. This allows for much more precise power adjustment and increases the battery runtime accordingly. The power levels and the power on-off function are controlled by the respective membrane button. It can be easily gripped and operated, so in my opinion, there's nothing to complain about here. Directly above it, also displayed, is the corresponding power level indicated by 4 small LEDs. This means that with the power button, we can easily switch between the different levels in ascending order. Even here in the bright studio lighting, which is approximately comparable to sunlight, the respective level can be easily read. In addition, the new CL003GZ has another advantage, namely an integrated memory function. That means that if, for example, I'm vacuuming on level 3 and deactivate the device, when I reactivate it, or even if I remove the battery, it automatically jumps back to the last used level, which is extremely convenient. At the back, as we are already familiar with the 18-volt device, is the corresponding battery compartment. However, in this case, we cannot use the device with 18-volt batteries. As you can see from the red XGT logos, this battery vacuum cleaner can only be operated with the 40-volt XGT batteries from Makita. The batteries themselves are inserted from the back as usual, and they fit in cleanly and reliably. No problems in that regard, as expected. And as I mentioned, I would recommend using a small battery for this battery vacuum cleaner, specifically a 40-volt 2.5 ampere-hour battery. How long the vacuum cleaner actually lasts with that battery will be shown in the practical test later. Alternatively, I could also use the larger 4 ampere-hour battery, but then the device would be too heavy for my personal preference. In conjunction with the respective battery, the battery vacuum cleaner also provides a relatively stable base on smooth surfaces. You can see this on the underside, where we have 2 rubberized feet, one lower and one higher, which provides stability and relatively good grip on smooth surfaces. However, I've already noticed a small disadvantage in this regard. There's no provision on the back for hanging it on the wall, meaning there's no recess or anything similar, and the wall mount from the old 281 model does not fit this model, of course. And as far as I can tell, there's currently no wall mount available for this battery vacuum cleaner. If I'm mistaken, please feel free to correct me in the comments below. So until then, it's necessary to place the vacuum cleaner on the wall like this. As you can see, it works, but still. I would say let's now move on a little further to the heart of the new Makita CL003, namely the motor, the filter, or rather the cyclone separator. Actually, it's unmistakable. All the BL logos on the device already indicate it. Indeed, the new Makita CL003 features a built-in brushless motor, which is efficient in terms of battery life and, of course, very powerful. In terms of performance, a lot has improved compared to the 18-volt model. As indicated by Makita, we can regulate the power with 4 levels, reaching a power output of 15 watts in the lowest level up to a maximum of 100 watts in level number 4, which is definitely quite decent. Additional values include a maximum vacuum pressure of 200 millibars, which is quite respectable, and a maximum air volume of 1 cubic meter per minute. I would say that is certainly a good average. We'll see how it performs in the test when we examine it in practice later on. But before we switch to that, I'd say let's take another look at the cyclone separator and the dust collection container, which is quite discreet. It's located behind the built-in motor and can be removed by rotating the housing. The housing itself has 2 small indentations, both on the motor housing and on the collection container, which must align directly on top of each other for the collection container to close. In the opposite direction, the whole thing can, of course, be opened again. Directly below is the built-in filter of the Makita CL003, and as you can see, in this case, there's a cloth attachment filter included by default, just like with the 18-volt model, relatively simple. No HEPA filter or anything of that sort is included as standard with this model. Directly below that, there's another small filter layer that's supposed to catch any debris that may have slipped through, because then the brushless motor follows. The only drawback of the Makita CL003 is that it does not come with an integrated HEPA filter as standard, but only the cyclone separator plus this cloth filter, which means that all the extremely small particles will naturally pass through these two elements completely and come out unfiltered in the end. Nevertheless, there's also an optional HEPA filter available for this cordless vacuum cleaner. This is the one from the CL003G. The fitting is definitely identical, which means that you could easily install the HEPA filter here. However, as you can see, as soon as I try to put the cyclone separator back on, it doesn't work because the HEPA filter is simply too long. For this, Makita provides a new, appropriately fitting HEPA filter. It looks like this. I will also include a link to it in the video description below. So far, so good. This means that in this case, I have to rely on the standard filter from Makita for now. However, there is an advantage, as I mentioned earlier. With the CL003, instead of the HEPA filter, a suitable cyclone separator is already mounted on the device by default. For those who've already seen the video on the Makita DLC281, they know that a cyclone separator is actually indispensable because it is extremely practical. It holds all the coarse dirt down here and only ensures that the already cleaned air with the fine particles is directed upwards to the second filter. As you can see, the cyclone separator is made of black transparent plastic and is held in place by the two closures on the sides. It can be completely removed and emptied by pressing these closures. Now, it must be stated that the container itself has a capacity of 250 milliliters, which means a lot can fit in here. Of course, you won't be able to vacuum the entire apartment with it, but this is a small, compact handheld vacuum cleaner that can be quickly used from time to time, and the 250 milliliters are definitely sufficient for that. There's another small advantage, and that is next to the filter, located directly above the cyclone separator. You can see it here with the lock symbol. By turning it to the left, I can completely remove the filter. It ensures that the remaining elements that couldn't be stopped by the cyclone separator are effectively blocked from reaching the main filter. Makita promises us up to 6 times longer runtime with consistent performance until it drops off due to the main filter getting clogged. Taking a close look at this filter, you can see that it's an extremely fine plastic filter where hardly anything passes through. This means that all the dirt definitely gets trapped here, resulting in a longer runtime without a doubt. However, it also means that this small filter needs to be emptied more frequently. As I mentioned, the assembly was quite easy. Simply attach it here at the bottom and then turn it to the right to mount it. So it'll be very interesting to see how this cordless handheld vacuum performs in practice, how it performs in terms of runtime and suction power. I would say all of this will be clarified in the practical test later on. Last but not least, it's worth mentioning the small accessories available for the Makita CL003, such as the suction tube, a small pointed nozzle, and not to forget, the wide floor nozzle. The suction tube is attached using a small click lock, so it doesn't just slide in but locks in easily. The process can also be reversed. Simply press on the closure on the right or left, and then I can take the suction tube and, for example, immediately mount the floor nozzle. As for the floor nozzle, there's nothing particularly special to note. I would say it looks like the one on the Makita CL003G, with 4 small wheels on the underside so that it can glide smoothly over the floor. Furthermore, there is a rubber tip to collect the dirt and make it easier to suction. And let's not forget, this floor nozzle has the advantage that I can move the attached suction tube at almost a 90-degree angle. Let me show you how quickly. I can place the vacuum cleaner against the wall, almost at a 90-degree angle, and then tilt it down almost to the floor. This means I can easily reach under the couch or similar places. This point, I would say, will be clarified in the practical test, so I think it's time for us to take a look at the new Makita CL003 in action. I'm curious to see how the device performs, so sit back and relax. It's time to start the practical test. And so, let's dive into the practical test of the 40-volt Makita cordless vacuum cleaner CL003. As you can see in the video, the vacuum cleaner has not been used even once so far, meaning it's brand new. This means all the filters are dust-free, allowing the vacuum cleaner to deliver its maximum suction power. To provide maximum performance for the practical test, I'm using the small 2.5 ampere-hour battery, which I fully charged before the test. I also used the device throughout the entire test with the included original accessories, such as the suction tube and floor nozzle. Furthermore, the device was consistently set to the highest power level, level 4. I started by using the vacuum cleaner to clean the concrete floor of the garage. At the beginning, the floor had typical dirt, such as sand, needles, sawdust, and the like. So everything that's brought in from outside and generated during work was present here. As you can see in the test, the vacuum cleaner had no major issues with it. Even when using the wide floor nozzle, the vacuum cleaner was able to generate enough suction to thoroughly clean the area. But in essence, this is nothing particularly special, as even the 18-volt vacuum cleaner from Makita performed quite well on the solid surface. One thing worth mentioning is the excellent handling of the vacuum cleaner, thanks to its very low weight and compact size or flexibility. Moving, turning, or lifting it is absolutely effortless. For this reason, after completely cleaning the area, I turned my attention to the heavily soiled carpet. In this case as well, I used the vacuum cleaner at the highest power level, level 4, with the wide floor nozzle. What immediately caught my attention, especially compared to the 18-volt model, is that the 40-volt handheld vacuum cleaner has significantly better suction pressure. With a maximum negative pressure of 200 millibars, the CL003 generates enough force to remove a majority of dirt particles from the carpet. However, it's not really comparable to a vacuum cleaner with an active floor nozzle when it comes to stubborn particles. At the same time, it's worth noting that the new CL003, despite its increased power of up to 100 watts, has become noticeably quieter. During the practical test, I measured the vacuum cleaner's noise level using a decibel meter at a distance of 1 meter. The results in the highest power mode were only 70 decibels, which is, in my opinion, quite pleasant. Additionally, the integrated cyclone separator and the multi-stage filtration system of the vacuum cleaner also performed well in the test. The cyclone separator ensures that all coarse dust particles are separated, allowing the maximum suction power to be maintained for longer, which works quite well. However, for those who plan to use the device regularly indoors, I would recommend using the additional HEPA filter to capture even the smallest particles. So far, so good regarding the new Makita cordless vacuum cleaner CL003. Now, it's your turn. What do you think of this 40-volt vacuum cleaner? Feel free to share your opinion in the comments below. With that, we conclude this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel to not miss any future videos. You can find the current prices in the video description below. Thank you for your support. Take care and see you next time.